ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the press, and everyone joining us today. You are live watching the ABF News Nigeria, where we bring you in-depth discussion on the issues shaping our nation. I am by name Abdulwahab Khairat Opeyemi, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. Today's focus is on the Nigeria economy, challenge faced, and the way forward. The Nigeria continues to grapple with inflation, unemployment, exchange rate fluctuation, and high cost of living. We ask an important question: what practical solutions can move the country forward towards sustainable economic growth? On behalf of the ABF News Nigeria, I am pleased to welcome a guest on our affair program, a seasoned accountant, tax professional, researcher, and public affairs commentator. Also the former chairman of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, FCT1 branch, Abuja, where he championed transparency, digital innovation, and capacity building for members. He has also contributed to research on public finance and budget implementation in Nigeria, and is widely recognized for his advocacy of accountability and ethical leadership. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Wahab Shina Omoniyi to the ABF News Nigeria.
Good afternoon.
Good day, Mr. Wahab Shina Omoniyi. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for accepting our invitation to the ABF News Nigeria.
Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Our top story is the Nigeria high cost of living. Many families are finding it increasingly difficult to afford food, transportation, and basic necessities. What do you think is the practical solutions to ease the burden on citizens in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you very much, my uncle. The truth of the matter is, for you to proffer solution to the challenges facing us as a nation, you need to look at the root cause of even this problem. And when you look at the root cause of the problem, it will guide you as to proffer solution to it. And to start with, you will agree with me that if we go back to 3 years ago, when the new administration came on board, right, the singular removal of the fuel subsidy has led to multiplier effects on the cost of living which we are experiencing presently. And that is the point we need to start from, because that is what is going to guide us as to why do we have this multiplier effect on the cost of living: housing, transportation, as well as education, and every facet of our life. So that singular removal of petroleum subsidy, even though it was a necessity, but because we were not ready for it, was the root cause of the inflation that we are experiencing today. Because an average Nigeria is dependent on the fuel price. The pump price affects an average Nigeria, and that is why we are where we are today. Now, moving forward, what we need to look at is, what are the segments that have been affected, the critical segments that have been affected. One, transportation. An average farmer will want to transport the goods from the farm to the market. And because of this increase in pump price, it has also escalated the price of the cost of transportation of the goods from the farm to the market. And at the end of the day, this has been transferred to the final consumer that is going to get these goods from the market. So transportation is key. Let's also look at the area of education. Now, because the inflation has cut across board. So it means every teacher also needs salary increment, isn't it? So it means the school fees must go up for the proprietors, the managers of our education system, of the schools, to be able to meet up with the cost of salary, right? With the personnel cost. Now, the cost of materials, textbooks, has also gone up. Notebooks have gone up. Writing materials have gone up. Simply because the producers of all these things also need energy to also produce all these items. So invariably, everything has gone up. So, and everything has been transferred to the parents that will also send their children to school for proper education. So that is the aspect of education. Now, let's look at the third critical aspect, which is the housing. Now, you now discover that the cost of rent has also gone up exponentially since the removal of the fuel subsidy. So, in other words, everyone that is on a rental apartment is now paying more. So at the end of the day, you discover that maybe your salary has not even increased, marginally within this period we are talking about. But every other aspect of your expenses has actually increased. And how do we solve this now? Simple. When we take these three critical aspects, we agree with me that we can focus on, and by the time we focus on them, then we'll be able to take them one after the other and solve the problem. Transportation. Government can decide to create a kind of palliative, right, to our farmers by making sure that they have a kind of public transport arrangement for the farmers, whereby at a designated point, farmers can bring their goods with little or no cost, and then government can now assist them to transport these goods to the market. So if they are able to do that at a subsidized price, because it's not possible for government to completely remove subsidy in every aspect of life. So, but if they now focus on those people that need the subsidy, like the farmers, you now discover that the cost of transportation of goods will be minimal. So, in other words, the cost of food items will also reduce. We are solving that problem. Now, government has been able to intervene when it comes to education through the NEFOM. Now, with the government intervention, you discover that the students in higher institution, at least they are able to access the fund, and they are better off for it, because from whatever government is able to give them, they can pay their school fees, and they can also have stipend, for their upkeep. So government has been able to at least intervene in that aspect. However, the basic education, which is primary and secondary, is still needs attention, right? Because that is the basic foundation. So government may also have to look into that aspect, so that the issue of paying WAEC and NECO exam fee, can either be free of charge or at a minimal rate, unlike what we are hearing that government even want to jack it up. So government can subsidize that aspect. So that reduces the burden of education cost. Now, the area of rent, accommodation, government can decide to have an arrangement whereby the cost of mortgage will be affordable. Because as it is now, presently, if you look at Abuja, for instance, an average civil servant cannot even go for the mortgage. Where a single bedroom flat is going for 10 million and above. So we discovered that it will be difficult for an average civil servant, a junior civil servant, to be able to afford it without being corrupted. So government can come in that area, provide affordable mortgage, affordable housing system. They are doing it, but it seems not to be sufficient enough. So with that, we now discover that government is solving the menace of the problem that is encountering the society.
Thank you for that thoughtful contribution.